To the evening star, glorification of nature. The nature poem to the evening star was written by the reputed English poet William Blake. By considering the evening star as the other natural aspects, the poet creates a pathway to glorify the nature. Let's analyze in more detail in the following paragraphs. The symbol of the poem Evening Star is elaborated as a natural phenomena which beautifies the nature. Through the line, "Thou fair-haired angel of the evening, thy bright torch of love," the poet emphasizes the divine qualities of the goddess Venus by the imagery of it. As the evening star is an aspect of nature, it beautifies the world as an angel and an illuminating torch of love. Moreover, the Roman goddess of love, fertility, and desire is considered as a protector and a preserver to the mankind. In accordance with that, the line "radiant crown put on" obviously shows the longing of the humans for the evening star to be as a savior to protect themselves from the upcoming darkness. As the poet also requests the star to smile on the loved ones, and the facial expression of smiling portrays the beauty of nature when it is in its peak level of power. The worship of the poet emphasizes the majestic power of Venus, and the poet has also asked the star to make the west wind calm and wash the dusk with silver. The west wind is a symbol of destruction, and the silver indicates the divine power. So the poet indirectly mentions the problems in his society, and he is worshipping the god to make all the problems vanish, as it is mentioned as washing the dusk with silver. With that, he paradoxically asks the Venus to speak in silence with glimmering eyes. Silence can be taken as a kind of beauty, and glimmering eyes is a gorgeous visual imagery. By combining these two aspects, the poet reveals an undescribable beauty. The radiant rays which are emitted by the radiant crown of the Venus is emphasized as a key aspect which illuminates the world with happiness and prosperity. In the in the drawers the blue curtains of the sky, we can use we can see the use of euphemism. By using this technique, the poet indicates the darkness after the absence of the star. Throughout the whole poem, the poet's purpose is to retain star in the sky for a longer period. This appealing of the poet illustrates the significance and the glory of the evening star. Through the dictions Wolf and Lion, poet has portrayed the presence of negative forces after the absence of the evening star. Those type of negative forces come after the absence of the star. Moreover, the diction "fleeces of our flocks" indicates the vulnerable humans who are desperate for the protection of the goddess, and the poet is appealing to the star to protect the innocent humans with its divine and holy power. Lion and wolves are used as the symbols for the social problems like corruption, high mortality rate, pollution, which rose in his era. During the era of industrialization, the people were in a rat race to earn money. So the social problems began to form. Through this poem, the poet is trying to seek solutions for the problems by the glorification of nature. The literary techniques used here, such as imagery, metaphor, biblical allusion, symbolism, personification, adds more emphasis to the glorification of nature. This poem is rich in visual imagery. We can see it through many aspects of the evening star. In the line bright torch of love, in the lines bright torch of love, fair-haired angel of the evening, metaphor is used, and the symbol of the poem, evening star, is the powerful metaphor here. The biblical allusion sacred give adds holy effect to the poem, and it also emphasizes the divine power of the star. The main technique used here is personification. From the beginning to the end, the evening star is given human qualities. This technique gives the majestic power to an inanimate object, which is the star. Another main technique used in this poem is symbolism. Evening star, wolves, lion, west wind are taken as the symbols here. Evening star is symbolized as a savior, and the wolves, lion, and the west wind are symbolized as destructive evil forces. The poet uses the negative aspects to emphasize the power of the star. As the conclusion, we can consider that the evening star and the other aspects are the part of nature, and these glorify the qualities of nature. The lumber room, the aunt and the Nicholas. The short story Lumber Room, written by Sagi, portrays the generation gap between two generations and how it affects in a little boy's life who is Nicholas. The protagonist of this short story is Nicholas, and the antagonist is his aunt. The author of this poem, Sagi, uses his autobiographical elements here. He depicts that how his two aunts were so strict and authoritative, and how he suffered an exploiting life during his childhood. Let's see about the aunt in the following paragraphs. The aunt's self-righteousness is characterized in this prose. The line, woman of few ideas, shows that the aunt thinks she is wiser, but she is not, as she also thinks that all of her decisions are correct. That's why Nicholas is trying to do these mischievous things, because he is breaking the authoritative rules of aunt. On the other hand, the aunt thinks that she is perfect in taking care of children, even though it is wrong. She doesn't understand because she is the only one who is responsible for the children. Instead of giving love to Nicholas, the aunt took every opportunity to punish him. The other children, too, did not escape from the punishments, and even after withholding the enjoyment of Nicholas, she further punishes him and heightens her worry. Let's see the protagonist of the story, Nicholas. Nicholas is a boy who is totally different from his other siblings. He doesn't seem particularly attached to the other children. Mentioning his younger brother as boring shows it clearly. Other children are not actively against the aunt, but Nicholas feels the injusticeness of the aunt more keenly, and he doesn't like other children to join him with the lumber room plan. He seeks his freedom all alone, and he has an impressive imagination that lets him construct worlds out of the pictures and household objects he finds in the lumber room, such as the tapestry. Nicholas is also a careful observer and accurately anticipates how the aunt will react to some certain situations. Lumber room is just Lumber room is just an ordinary storehouse for adults like aunt. But for a kid like Nicholas, who is excluded from the imagination, it is a paradise filled with infinite imagination. It gives boost for Nicholas' imagination. As a conclusion, from this short story, we can understand that we should let children to be free and imaginative. The way Nicholas overcome his aunt's harsh punishment shows that he is a great role model for everyone. Answer 3. Big Match 1983. Sense of Social Conflict. The poem Big Match 1983 was written by the Sri Lankan poet and poem and short story writer Yasmin Gunaratne after match the tragedy. By interconnecting many time periods from the independence of Sri Lanka, the writer elaborates the social and the racial conflict between two brotherhood ethnic groups. Let's analyze it in more detail in the following paragraphs. The conflict presented in the poem is between the Sinhalese mobs and the Tamil people who represent the capital, Colombo, and the north, respectively. The conflict originated because of the significance that Sinhala language received, and this outraged the Tamils as they were a part of gaining freedom from the British colony. And the politicians in Sri Lanka were the actuators of this conflict. This point shows that how the degraded politicians destroy their brotherhood ethnic groups, and it is ironic that they are also destroying their own native people, presumably. The title Big Match is a pun which carries two meanings. Here, the social conflict is juxtaposed with the cricket match to express the situation of the people whose lives were played and being destroyed slowly. In the conflict, the helpless Tamil people and the public had horrendously undergone a bitter experience. Moreover, in the line racial pot boils over, it is obvious that the mobs and politicians were using racism as their weapons to emphasize the power of Sinhala community. And also, these lines are expressed in newspapers, which indicates the inhuman behaviors of the news channels because they are using this news for their publicity. Out of the Palmyra fences of Jaffna, Bristol 100 guns. In these lines, we can see that Tamil people became intolerable at a moment, so the military organizations are formed in Jaffna to fight against the injustice for the Tamils. On the other hand, there's a man mentioned in the poem who tried to seek protection under a bo tree is attacked by sticks and stones. Bo tree is a symbol of God Buddha and it is worshipped as a god by the Buddhist people. But it is ironic that a man is attacked under that religious tree. This shows that how far the conflict had grown over the years, and it had grown enough to neglect the religion. Moreover, Sri Lanka is symbolized as a mother who screams in agony by watching her children fight and die. This emphasizes the conflict very well. As the conclusion, we can consider that the social conflict is portrayed by expressing many aspects related to the 1983 conflict. The sense of agony and pain is conveyed through every lines of this poem. Answer number 4, Richard Corey, Developing a Fake Ideology. The social poem Richard Corey was written by the prolific American poet Edwin Arlington Robinson in the 19th century. People in the poem didn't realize the troubles and worries Richard Cory carried in his heart, but they perceived him to be a successful man through his behaviors and outer appearance. Let's get a better understanding about how people construct their own ideologies by analyzing the poem more. In this poem, the people on the pavement admire and praise every aspect of Richard Cory in every stanza. When we interconnect every references of Richard Cory, we can point out one obvious thing, which is exaggeration. As the narrator is also from a lower middle class people who are mentioned as payment people, his yearning illustrates their unbalanced life. When we see the references like gentleman from soul to crown, he fluttered pulses when he said good morning, and he glittered when he walked. These show his perfect attitude and perfect physical appearance. Even though anyone can have these attributes in that town, Richard Cory's attributes pretty unique to every payment people. It is because of his economical strength. Moreover, Richard Cory is taken as a role model for the payment people. That is because of his fulfillment in every aspect. The hyperbolic expression richer than a king symbolically indicates the state of the people. And when we see deeply, one no one in a country can be richer than a king. But this exaggeration indicates the poor and pathetic condition of the payment people. Here, the obvious thing is the people spend more time on admiring and praising Richard Cory than dealing with their own life problems. Moreover, the payment people started to work hard and hard to reach the state of Richard Cory to lead a poverty-free and a better life. But their expectations of better life contains many hardships, and that idea is presented in the line went without the meat and cursed the bread. Here, the narrator obviously illustrates that even though people work hard, they doesn't get what they deserve. Mainly, the narrator presents all of these as the consequences of following a fakely constructed ideology. At the end, the staggering and unexpected death of Richard Cory conveys a serious message to the readers, which is appearances are deceptive. As a whole, we can conclude that this poem obviously portrays the big dissimilarity between appearance and reality. The payment people are utilized as a tool to convey the reality of truth to the readers. Answer number five, Upside Down. Abnormality. The humorous poem Upside Down was written by the reputed Russian poet Alexander Kushner in the 20th century. The poet manipulates an absurd character named Upside Down to express sarcasm and humor through his abnormal behaviors. Let's get a better understanding about how this idea is presented through the following paragraphs. Firstly, the name given to the person indicates abnormality and sparks humor in the reader's mind. It is obvious that the name was given to him by the people as he is a laughing material among them. The action of him turning to left when he was told to turn right introduces the idea of sarcasm to the readers right away in the first stanza. If he went sailing in a boat, no one could make him understand why he seemed to be afloat. In this specific line, we can understand that the person upside down couldn't even understand the simple logics like floating in the water, and that evokes laughter to the readers. Moreover, his behavior of reading and writing the letter at side 4 is very much abnormal because it would give a complete different meaning to the context. And the narrator also provides an example as he reads the word ton as not. It seems almost impossible for the normal people, but his behavior of doing it easily indicates his absurdity. And also the differences of the upside down as a dunderhead connects and illustrates his absurdity and evokes sheer laughter in between the readers. Moreover, his behavior of wading through the water instead of using the bridge is completely a- abnormal, even though there are plenty of ways to cross a river, he chose the way that others would never choose to do. This is also an element which creates humor. With that, the narrator brings out a scene of him in a restaurant to increase the abnormality of upside down. I'd like to I like a pair of socks with clocks on them and in a box. In this line, we can see his reply to the waiter's question. The use of rhyming words like socks, clocks, box assists the scene to increase abnormality and laughter. Moreover, the comparison between the circus and the upside down contrasts his abnormality even further. Also, when the postman handed over a letter, his confusion even more adds humor to the point. It is illustrated in the line, "Shall I read it? Perhaps I ought, perhaps I will, perhaps I can't." At the end, the content in the letter written by the aunt gives a final burst of laughter in the reader's mind. The aunt summarizes all of his absurd behavior and emphasizes him to be as normal as others. As a whole, we can conclude that the poem Upside Down uses the absurdity of the main character as an element to evoke laughter. The writer effectively manipulates and converts every aspect of abnormality into humor throughout the poem. Answer number six, Twilight of a Crane, The Shoe and Yo-Yo. The modern Japanese play Twilight of a Crane was written by the prolific Japanese scholar and writer Yuzuwa Junji Kinoshita in the 20th century. The play revolves around the two main characters, Su and Yohyo, and conveys various themes to the readers vividly. Let's examine how this works in the following paragraphs. Firstly, Su and Yohyo are the protagonists of the play who had been in a relationship as a husband and a wife. From the beginning of the play, we can see that they had grown a very healthy and good conversation between them. It illustrates their understanding and maturity very well. And also, the narrator brings out the relationship as a role model for the readers at the beginning. Moreover, when we see and when we analyze Sue clearly, we can see that she isn't literally a human. And the narrator has employed a flashback of Sue's transformation into a human from a crane. Sue had dedicated her life to Yohyo, happy and prosperous. Sue had dedicated her life to keep Yohyo happy and prosperous. This portrays her loyalty and faithfulness. Furthermore, Sue had been the symbol of pure innocence, fidelity, and goodness through the whole plot. We can see, we can spot that by her behaviors of not knowing the materialistic and money values, greediness, and cruelty. This conveys and strengthens the theme of love in the play. Moreover, her caring nature towards Yohyo is illustrated through the phrase, my darling and my dear. Moreover, when we see the character Yohyo deeply, we can see that He had been a very innocent character in the beginning of the play. Also, he loves his wife very unconditionally, and his utterances like cold soup is no good for my sweetheart depicts his caring nature towards Sue. Furthermore, he is a very humane person as he saved a wounded crane from a cruel arrow of a hunter. From this, we can decide that Yohio had been the symbol of humanity throughout the plot. On the other hand, when we compare and analyze the two characters after the introduction of two antagonist characters, Soro and Unzo, it is very contradictory. Sue and Yohio's peaceful relationship is ruined by the antagonist. Between them, Soro is the most manipulative. By the influence of them, Yohio becomes more money oriented, greedy, and less caring. This can be seen through his utterance. Yes, you see, so no one can be indifferent to money. His change in attitude and behavior clearly illustrates the theme of materialism versus love. Furthermore, as the female character, Sue is manipulated and dominated by the male characters Yohyo, Sodo, and Unzo. The theme of male chauvinism is portrayed. Even though Yohyo, even though Yohyo was the symbol of humanity at the beginning, unexpectedly he becomes as a symbol of cruelty and greediness due to the influence of his malicious friends. Sue also gets hurted by the Yohyo very much, and specifically, she has no idea of the materialistic desires of Yohyo. Her confusion is brought out by the line by, what's nice things, what do you want beside me? And also it is evident that Sue only knows true human qualities like love, passion, devotion, and etc. Furthermore, Sue struggles with her inner conflict of finding her lost identity as Sue struggled to remain in human form due to the corrupted mindsets of them. She decides to change herself to her old form, which is to be a crane. By this, the narrator brings out the theme of finding the real identities to the readers. Moreover, when we see clearly, the whole plot is about the conflict between the nature and the humans. Sue is the representative of the nature, and others are the representative of the humankind. And here, the narrator is very much nature is very much unchanged. It always tried to show caring and love towards humans. The nature's self-sacrificing manner can be pointed out through the characteristics of Sue as well. At the same time, humans show materialism, greediness, and exploit nature instead of showing gratitude to it. Furthermore, the nature hasn't got any evil qualities, but the humans are possessed with the evil qualities. This evidently brings out the theme of nature versus evil humans very well. As a whole, we can conclude that the main characters Sue and Yohio stands out as the symbols to convey the serious messages to the readers. The differentiation of their characteristics leads the readers to a perfect understanding of the whole play. Answer number 7. The Bear. Impression of Smirnov. The play The Bear was written by the prolific Russian playwright and poet Anton Chekhov in the 19th century. This play revolves around one of the main characters in the play, Smirnov, who is representative of the old feudal society in Russia and conveys many negative and positive qualities of him by the conflict between another main character, Popova. Let's examine about this idea in detail in the following paragraphs. Firstly, the character Smirnov has been introduced to the readers as a middle aged landowner, and also he has been an unrefined and rude man throughout the play. His ill mannerism can be highlighted in many aspects of the play. At the beginning, he enters Popova's house without any permission, even though he tries to introduce himself respectfully. His real attitude comes out later on. Furthermore, he insults Popova by insulting the whole female society. This misogynistic attribute of Smirnov indicates that he is a male chauvinist, and also he generalizes all women and considers them as bad by only his own life experiences. The diction's insincere, crooked, backbiters, envious, liars of the marrow of their bones, vain, trivial, merciless, and unreasonable, uttered by Smirnov, indicates his poisonous and worst thoughts about the woman. With that, he also disrespects the servant Luca, who is comparatively older than him. This can be seen in the utterances, "You fool, shut up, I'll chop you into pieces." Moreover, the use of animal imagery can be seen throughout the plot. The technique has been mostly employed at Smirnov. Boar, horse bear, bourbon, monster are the examples for the animal imagery which refers to Smirnov. On the other hand, we can spot a positive attitude of Smirnov in his flashback. He has a good attribute of giving money to the people when they are in trouble. He also names some people whom he had given the money. Gustav, Yaroshevich, Masugo, Christine are some examples. Also, he is a very short tempered person who gets angry very quickly. That angriness has been the key for many of the problems that he had faced in his lifetime. His extreme angriness can be found from him quivering and struggling to breathe while talking to Popova. Moreover, the manipulative nature of Smirnov can be indicated throughout the plot. He manipulates and controls every situation with his boorish and arrogant behavior. He tactically brings out the defensive and bold side of Popova out from her fake life. And on the other hand, he uses the gender partiality to manipulate every situation by downgrading the woman. He has been